We already did a short-term review of the Vivo V11 Pro a while ago based on 48 hours of usage. And today we're going a bit deeper into finding out if this phone is worth Rs 50,000 or $400 in some regions. At this price tag, this phone cannot be called a regular mid-ranger, so we have to place it in the premium mid-range section. So let's get into finding out if this phone is worth the huge price tag. First, as usual, let's talk about the design of the phone. The design is attractive, yes, but feels cheap on the hands. Of course, that's because of the plastic bag. The construction feels quite sturdy, and with its glossy finish, it can easily be mistaken for glass. But the lightweight gives it away. It is also a fingerprint magnet, attracting quite a bit of smudges. The phone is durable, no doubt, but it's also very slippery. It is easy to drop it, and depending on your sitting position, it can drop out of your pocket too. I know it because it has happened to me and it did cost me. But luckily for an AMOLED display with an in-display fingerprint scanner, replacing the screen was relatively cheaper than I anticipated. It cost me around $80, which is way more cheaper than what Samsung charges for its AMOLED panels. Anyways, back to the design. The phone is quite big in size, but it is slim. Still, one-handed usage is difficult. All the buttons are on the right, and the bottom houses a single speaker, a 3.5mm headphone jack, which feels like a bliss in 2018. The fingerprint sensor is embedded in the display itself, and while this might look like a futuristic tech, the presence of micro USB feels very silly, that also on a premium mid-ranger device. Of course, it's a cost-cutting mechanism, but it does not feel right in 2018. Moving on, the color I have, that is Starry Night Black, is strikingly eye-catching. It has a dual gradient color that goes from bluish purple at the bottom to inky black at the top. There are also some sparkles at the bottom, which is probably why it's called Starry Night. And while that reminds of the Huawei Nova 3 and 3i, the Vivo V11 Pro has its own additions that make for its stunning looks. If only the back was glass, it could have been my favorite design on a smartphone so far. Also, the phone comes with a case in the box, and I recommend you use that on the phone because even if the polycarbonate back is strong, the glossy finish is easy to scratch and is prone to slight discoloration on prolonged use. So if you want to avoid micro abrasions on it, do yourself a favor and slap a case on it. Up front, the upgrade to Super AMOLED panel has made quite a difference. You get better color accuracy with deeper blacks, punchy colors, and better contrast overall. And even with an AMOLED screen, sunlight legibility is quite good. You will have no problem looking at the screen outdoors in different angles whatsoever. The screen is a large 6.41 inches with a 19.5:9 aspect ratio. There's a small water drop or a teardrop notch, whichever you like to call it, on the top that houses the selfie camera. The front speakers are also located right above the selfie camera, and that design is cleverly minimalistic. But one thing you need to know is that you cannot hide the notch in the settings menu. It is there to stay, and even with that small notch, all your notifications and information stats are kinda haywire. I mean, they're not very well organized to fit in all your notification icons. The bezels are ever so slim, and that makes the screen appear larger than it already is. The tiny bezels on the top also accommodate the IR sensor for facial recognition. I have to say that even with this minimalist design, the phone has cleverly managed to include all that's necessary. There's the always-on display option, which shows you the time and battery level, but sadly won't show you notifications. And since the tiny notch means that there is no LED notification lights, this is something that you will have to get over. However, you can customize the time to turn on and off the always-on display, which can come very handy. As for the cameras, the Vivo V11 Pro packs a dual camera setup of 12 megapixel with focal 1.8 aperture and a 5 megapixel depth sensor. The primary camera does a great job while capturing pictures, and I was thoroughly impressed by its ability to capture details. In good lighting, the sharpness of the images will impress you. Just have a look at these samples. It represents colors accurately enough, and your basic photography needs will easily be fulfilled. Low-light images do get some noise, but the camera manages to brighten up the images. What I mean is, even at low light conditions, the camera bumps up the lighting to make it appear as if it were taken in good lighting conditions. If you look at these images, you will know because even with the bumped up lighting, the grains in the images give it away. Night shots, however, are not usable. The depth sensor does a good job of background blurs and edge detection, but as it is with bokeh shots, these are always a hit or a miss. In good lighting, the portrait shots come out great. However, in low light, the edge detection suffers and aren't satisfactory. As it is with most of the phones in 2018, the cameras are AI integrated, and while it comes into play at some times, you won't actually notice a lot of difference. The AI portrait framing option will help you focus on the necessary areas of your picture, but again, it is not very accurate. You also get the AI face beauty feature in the back camera, but I don't find it very useful. Of course, some of you out there would love this feature as it can help remove all the blemishes and spots on your face and make you look pretty. As for the selfie camera, it is a 25 megapixel lens with focal 2.0 aperture. And while the front camera can take good resolution pics, I didn't quite like it, mainly due to its tendency to overstep beautifying aspects of your face. Now, there are separate beautifying options in the selfie camera, but even with all of that turned off, it will sneak up on you, and if you want to look natural in pictures, you simply can't. But for those of you who like it, you will have some fun using the selfie camera. However, portrait shots with the selfie camera are still good even though it's all software. If you can get over the facial enhancements, you might like the overall results of your portrait selfies. For videos, the Vivo V11 Pro is capable of taking 4K videos, but the lack of image stabilization makes this feature less useful. The camera lacks any kind of image stabilization, neither OIS or EIS, so you will need the steadiest hands you can find for your videography needs. However, the quality of the videos is just good enough. But the slow motion feature on this thing seems half-baked. For such a price, I expected it to have some sort of super slow motion, but it doesn't. The regular slow motion will not impress you at all, and you might not even use it all that much as it's not that handy. Overall, the camera offers a lot of bells and whistles, but that will not come in handy for all of you. Instead of those half-baked extras, improvements on the basic camera features would have come handy, for example, the inclusion of image stabilization. Also, I would want to ask Vivo to work on their facial enhancement features in their upcoming phones. There's not much to say in the performance department because the Snapdragon 660 chipset paired with 6GB of RAM is quite powerful. The transitions between screens are fast and multitasking is very smooth. It can keep apps open in the background for a considerable time too. Gaming on it is also amazing, especially because of its flat screen with the small notch. Regular games face no constraints, and even heavy games like PUBG runs very well on medium settings. I didn't really notice much heating on the phone either. That may be due to the plastic build, but even so, the thermal levels were lower than on other phones of similar construction. So from a gaming perspective, this phone is a good choice. The in-display fingerprint sensor, as exotic as it sounds, actually does not perform that well. And by that, I mean it's a bit slow and sometimes fails to recognize your fingerprints. Now, given that it's not your regular fingerprint scanner, I can understand the slow speed, but it completely fails to register your fingerprint sometimes even when you press it nice and hard. But the effects that you get on pressing the fingerprint sensor is quite amazing. The facial recognition feature is something that impressed me but also got me concerned about security. Now, it's because while the speed at which it can unlock your phone is superb, it unlocked the phone even when my face was half covered with my hands. The phone unlocks faster with facial recognition on rather than with the fingerprint sensor, but my concern is it really that secure? Anyways, moving on, let me also put it out to you guys that this phone does not have the Widevine L1 certification, so you will only be able to view the Amazon Prime contents or the Netflix contents at 540p max. The Pocophone F1 received criticisms due to this, but there are many phones which still run on the Widevine L3 certification. So I am just putting it out there because it's not that big of a deal for all of us, especially in the South Asian markets. In terms of software, the Vivo V11 Pro runs on Android Oreo 8.1 with its FunTouch OS 5.1 on top. And yes, we've always been saying that this uncannily resembles the iOS, but Vivo doesn't seem to mind at all. I, on the other hand, don't like this at all. There are plenty of bloatware in here, but you will get used to them in time. However, no search option in the settings menu, and having to slide up for the toggle settings menu feels quite a bit odd. The phone does come with Vivo's own theme store, but they are also pretty heavy and won't appeal to you that much. As for storage, the phone is available in 64GB and 128GB variants, but the one we get in Nepal is 128GB variant only. If that's not enough, there's a dedicated micro SD card slot with which you can expand your memory up to 256GB. In terms of battery, the phone packs a 3400 mAh unit, which may not be that big, but it can last you all day long. With regular to semi-heavy usage with constant use of social media apps and light gaming, you will still end up with more than 25% charge at the end of the day. But if you are a heavy gamer, however, you might want to carry a charger around. The charger is a micro USB, but it comes with Vivo's dual-engine fast charging. And while this name might sound futuristic, but Vivo's fast charging is not faster than any other fast charging standards on other phones. It is in par with Oppo's VOC Charge and OnePlus's Dash Charge, so nothing extraordinary, I guess. The Vivo V11 Pro gives off a futuristic vibe with its large screen-to-body ratio, minimalistic design on the front, and its in-display fingerprint scanner. It has a few aspects in which it truly shines. For instance, the Super AMOLED display is great, the rear camera picture quality is very good, and the battery is also very outstanding. I have mixed feelings about the phone's plastic build, the extra add-ons in the camera department, the fingerprint sensor, and the facial recognition. Also, what I did not like about the phone is the micro USB port, the phone's UI, and the selfie camera. Also, a micro USB port in 2018 is a downer, but it has dual-engine fast charging, so I guess that covers up. To conclude, the Vivo V11 Pro costs ₹50,000, and for all it packs, I think it is a pretty good deal. The areas it cuts corners are clearly visible, but those are also the aspects where you can easily get over. The phone excels in basic features, but the extras it provides need a little reworking. Hope Vivo addresses them in the future. So that was all for the review of the Vivo V11 Pro. Tell us what you think about the device in the comment section below. Till then, I am Pratima Adhikari, and thank you for watching.
Hello everyone, we are giving away not just one but two Poco F1 on our Facebook page, so make sure you check out the link in the description below. So that's been all the best to all our participants and a very happy Tiha.